So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is showing you guys some rare or otherwise unknown weapon locations. Now, full disclaimer, some of you probably have all of the weapons on this list. For that reason, I'm sorry. There's a couple that are higher level, but most of them are probably most ideal for people from level 10 to maybe late to early 30s. Basically, what I'm showing you are static spawn locations. So pretty much every time you go to that location, you'll get something. Most of the time, it'll be the weapon I'm showing you. Sometimes it'll also be nothing if somebody else looted it. But other times, if you're not high enough level, or if you just get a random loot spawn that isn't the right one, you might find something else. But just keep in mind, even if you go there and don't find the right thing, if you go back a few times, you probably will find the right thing. While filming this video, that happened to me and I had to go back after a certain amount of time. Typically 20 to 30 minutes is enough for the loot to reset and respawn. Another quick disclaimer, it seems like Bethesda has patched server hopping, so previously you could find a good loot spawn, then switch servers or join a bunch of friends and just continue to farm that loot. That no longer works, so don't bother trying to do that. And just as one final note, I know there's a lot before this video, there's certain things that just don't have static spawn locations, like the MG42. I would love to show you where that spawns, but it just doesn't seem to have one location. You get it off enemies, you might get it from a quest, but it seems like it is almost always random. You can't just find it somewhere. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the 50 caliber machine gun. That is a very valuable item, especially once you get to some of those higher levels. In order to find this thing, you're going to have to go to the Savage Divide, and there's actually 2 spawn locations, which makes this very good to farm for different weapon modifications. So the first one's going to be right outside Hemlock Holes. Basically, it's going to be on the back of a truck. The other one's also on the back of a truck. You might find several different enemies here. I found super mutants on one occasion, snallygasters on another occasion that actually were really tough to take down. And in the area, there's typically a few Grafton monsters, so be wary of them, but you can normally just run away. Then right around in the same area, you could actually find pretty much the exact same layout, another 50 caliber machine gun on the back of a truck. This one I didn't find defended, so it might be a little bit easier for you to get. And it's basically just on this road. It's fairly hard to miss. It's otherwise a fairly desolate area. The 50 cal itself is definitely a powerful weapon if you have the ammo. If you actually watch my video on how to level up quickly, I show you in that a really good way to generate ammo very quickly and passively. Using this thing in combat, it's definitely viable, but again, you're going to burn through ammo faster with this thing than pretty much any other weapon I've used thus far. The only thing I could imagine beating it is either the 10mm SMG with some mods, or probably the MG42. So next 3 on this list are going to be black powder items. Depending on which location you go to, you have a higher chance of getting one of the 3, but you could technically find all 3 at any location. So first and foremost, the one most people probably know is the Phillippi Battlefield Cemetery. This also being in the Savage Divide, fairly close to all that other stuff, so you could hit it on the way. Here you're going to find a variety of things, mostly black powder pistols as they seem to be the most common, but also if you're a high enough level, you'll probably get some black powder rifle spawns also. And clear out the whole building because there is a lot of opportunities for this thing to spawn, and oftentimes you'll walk away with at least something, even if it's just ammo. If you end up actually sticking with the black powder item, it's always good to just kind of come here at the start of a playthrough because you could typically find a lot of ammo for them. Next up, we have a location that pretty consistently gives me a black powder blunderbuss. This one's going to be right outside of Helvetia, however you say it. It's a pretty notable looking house. It's typically easy to find, and just inside you will find it. But then finally, for the black powder items, we do have a location right outside of Harper's Ferry. It just kind of looks like it holds black powder things. And in there, I found pretty consistently black powder rifles. I think they spawn here more often because this is a higher level zone than the 2 other regions. So as far as actually using your newly acquired weapons, the differences between them are fairly notable. The Blunderbuss basically does more damage than the black powder pistol, and it has a faster reload, but only slightly. The trade-off being the range on this thing is abysmal, and honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I think the black powder pistol is honestly the sweet spot here. These things are super common at all 3 of these spawn locations and fairly easy to find, so for that reason you could probably find one attuned to your level. But even beyond that, they have a pretty quick reload and not the highest damage in the world, but still pretty freaking good damage, definitely in the hundreds. Finally, the black powder rifle has the longest reload by a long shot, but it normally does ridiculous levels of damage, like typically in the high 100s. The black powder rifle in particular is one of those items that I always keep equipped and just save it for when I have a critical ready, then I use that critical with this item. It actually has pretty decent range also. But one option that's super viable if you have a ton of black powder weapons is to actually use them almost like a pirate would. For example, take a bunch of black powder pistols, have them all reloaded. I prefer these because they don't weigh a lot, but also still have a pretty good damage output. And then basically just hotkey them 1 through 5 and, well, you could kind of see the effect in the background. It is surprisingly good at taking down high health enemies because depending on how many you have, you could get out like 500 to 1,000 damage in under 10 seconds. And doing that at some of the lower levels is very valuable. But then we have what is probably the hardest on this list, and that's going to be the Alien Blaster. Finding the Alien Blaster honestly isn't all that difficult. It's also going to be in the Savage Divide, so hey, put it on your route as you're getting a bunch of these other things. There'll be some super mutants and other enemies guarding it, but otherwise you'll find it in a submerged safe. It's actually in the toxic water, so if you have a hazmat suit or Rad-X or something, I would use it. It's fairly hard to see, but once you see it, you definitely know it's there. The trick is though, there's no ammo at this location. So you now have this fancy new Alien Blaster that you totally can't use. So the next step is going to be to go to the Ash Heap, that place with the giant excavator, otherwise known as Mount Blair. There's going to be a place called Mount Blair Train Yard. It's notable as a green trailerish looking thing. Make your way over to the left side of it as I am in this image. You're going to spot this silver building. It's typically up a set of stairs. And then within that, there's going to be a bunch of lockers. Just look through them until you find the TNT Dome Key 2. And now you actually have to go to this location. This one's actually going to be right outside of Vault 76, right next to a location known as the Black Mountain Ordnance Works. You're going to see all these little kind of hill looking things on the map itself. The little bunker that you're trying to enter into is going to be within those hills. You'll find what was a location where it seems like they actually found the Alien Blaster, or at least the ammo for it, and we're actually running some experiments or something interesting was going on here. There's a ton of good loot in general, ranging from different chems to some hazmat suits, and not even the damaged kind, the like good kind. But of course you also can find some Alien Blaster ammo, but also a mod that you can craft for it. There's very little ammo here. Of course, once you actually get the key, you can farm this location just every time you log in, but even just in general, using the Alien Blaster, I was not impressed. Like if your choice is to use this thing or to use like 4 black powder pistols, I mean, it's pretty clear if you ask me. Next up, we do have the 10mm pistol. This is one that I know a lot of people really like finding, but if you're in the higher levels, you might have just found one naturally. But some of you guys might be interested because it's kind of a hidden location that has some other really good loot anyway. So basically to get this, you're going to have to go to Mama Dolce's Food Processing. This is a fairly notable location. You probably have been there. It's going to be right next to Vault Tech University. Upon going there, there'll probably be some low-level enemies, but make your way to the second story of this and actually get the manager's ID card. After that, go back down to the first story and walk out around the back of Mama Dolce's. If you're facing Vault Tech University, this is going to be on the right side of the building, and within the tubing, you're actually going to find what is a hatch. Run through that hatch and you're actually going to make your way into what ends up being a secret Chinese or communist base that was hidden under Mama Dolce's. There's a ton of lore and interesting loot here in general, but after making your way through the building, there's going to be 2 locked doors that can be opened by terminals. There also is a key card. I don't know where you get that, but as long as you have hacker level 1, which I imagine most people can get or have access to, you can get into this door, which will give you a 10mm SMG along some other miscellaneous items. And there's actually another door by some of the nuclear silos. This one's also locked behind a level 1 terminal. And after unlocking that, I found a bunch of other good loot and also some power armor. Just in general though, there's actually a lot of lore. I don't want to give any spoilers, but reading through the terminals, you could find out some of the backstory about what was going on here. The 10mm SMG itself is fairly powerful. It's definitely not one of the best weapons in the game, but it looks pretty cool. And if you do have an abundance of 10mm ammo, it definitely can be pretty viable. So last but not least, what is the worst and easiest to find on this list, but I somehow missed it? The guitar sword. So this one's actually going to be pretty good to get early on. Melee weapons are particularly powerful in this game. It's going to be right outside of Vault 76. Basically go to this map marker. There's not really any other distinguishing locations, and you're going to find the guitar sword leaned up against this building. This one is really nice. Pretty much all of the instrumental weapons in this game have a nice little bit of flavor in them because they'll make a little beat or something like that as you use them. I know a lot of people are looking for this one because we got that tweet of an image of this way back before Fallout 76 was released. Although unfortunately no, none of the instrumental weapons in this game are actually usable as just instruments. That'd be really cool. There are instruments, so a lot of people got excited, but the crossover is not there. I don't know what it was about this video, but as I was filming it, there is so much interesting stuff that happened. I found Graham, which I just hadn't encountered at any other point, got some good loot from him. But even beyond that, somebody launched a nuke on my server. I'll probably make a full video looking at this, especially once I'm actually able to do it myself. But it was pretty awesome to actually make my way into a high level zone. Got some of that valuable loot, got to see like 7 scorch beasts at once and a ton of people that were much higher level than me. And the crazy part is how many people A, went to this location on the server, but the fact that we couldn't even get close to taking down the scorch beast queen even with all of us here. I honestly have only seen a couple people's footage in Nuke Zone, so hey, here's some of mine. But with that, I'm pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, again, I thank you for watching. Hopefully you found this video informative. If you feel like I missed something that should have been in the video, let me know in the comments down below. I know there's like some sniper rifles and even some crossbows out there, but those I don't really think are super rare items. But with that, I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.